I'm now going to pass over to Richard to talk about why leadership is so important to organisations. Over to you, Richard.
Thank you very much indeed, David. And exactly, why leadership? We often talk about what leadership is, but we believe it's more important to understand why we lead. And we don't end up in a position where we end up, oh my goodness, what do we do now? So I'm just going to talk about that for a few minutes before handing back to David. So next slide, please, Hannah. So why indeed leadership? Leadership is an evergreen subject with new titles being launched on a weekly basis. And you can ask myriad senior leaders, why do you lead? And they'll come up with a long list of reasons. That they want to achieve something or help others to achieve something. They want to inspire people to be all they can be. They want to take responsibility, to own a problem and deal with it. They want to be part of success, to help people like the lady on the screen there to realize all their potential as leaders, or to help navigate the difficult challenges that we all face in life and not just go from one crisis to another and all the stress that that causes. They might want to be part of overcoming threats. How do we deal with things in a clear and concise manner, or exploit opportunities as they emerge in the world? Adding value, taking something raw, adding value to it and delivering it to the gross domestic product. And helping others. And there are many, many, many more reasons why people lead. And so it's not going to be easy, is it? You're going to lead well, you're going to lead properly and achieve all of these things all of the time and much more. So that's why we teach leadership, why we're so proud to teach leadership, why we take it so seriously, because as David introduced, you can boost your own performance, boost the performance of your organization, and empower all those that support you in your team and all those other stakeholders that you come in contact with, to lift our game and to better serve all those others in our community that we serve. So it's not a small thing, is it? Next slide, please, Hannah. So the quote at the top there, plans are nothing, planning is everything, is attributed, of course, to President Eisenhower. And what he's saying, I believe there, I humbly believe, is that planning is a verb rather than just having a plan that sits static as a noun. It's a continuum. And of course, we do have objectives and plans, but we have to be ready for things coming up that we didn't expect. Something new coming to market. The invention of the wheel, for example, in the top left there, a game changer. And quite often we say things like, the best thing since sliced bread. Well, actually, sliced bread wasn't thought of as a particularly great thing when it was invented. It took 7 years to get it to market. No one could be convinced it was a good idea. Sliced bread, they said. Nonsense. So there's all sorts of disruptors that occur in our lives that are outside of our control and can take part of the market from us and disrupt our performance and our achievements. In the top right there might be a stock market crash. It might be beyond our control, or we might be the only little green one on the screen, but everyone else is going down the tubes. So that might be beyond our control. We can't just go from crisis to crisis. We need to be ready to respond. We need to be ready to navigate around the problem. Bottom left, our main infrastructure might burn down. Goodness forbid. But it happens, doesn't it? Horrific scenes from Beirut recently that's going to dramatically change a country. And these things happen. They never happen to us, or perhaps they do. And we have to be ready to lead our way through them. And it's no good waiting. A crisis won't wait for you to get ready to lead it. And so we invest heavily in preparing for leadership management, crisis leadership, so we can be ready to deal with it when it happens. Or there might be a rush on toilet roll for no explained reason. The toilet roll mountain of Britain remained intact throughout the COVID crisis, but my goodness, we rushed to buy it, didn't we? So all these factors occur beyond our control, and we have to be able to act. Next slide, please, Hannah. And we need to understand our business environment as leaders. Top left, we need to understand what's going on in politics and in government. Is new legislation being made? Is influence being led by political parties that changes the business landscape in which we operate? In the top center there, the environmental conditions, climate change is here. It's affecting us. Icebergs are melting. Countries are getting hotter. Goodness, we're feeling it today, aren't we? And so we need to be aware of how that is affecting our business, or how politics is affecting our business, and how the environmental change is affecting business. Could either be affecting our supply chains, driving up costs which we can't afford. Top right, what's going on in society? What movements are occurring that could change, because our people are not isolated from society, they're part of society, they reflect society. And if as leaders we are ignorant to these things, we will rapidly lose our talent. So we've already got 3 massive things to attend, and there's more. Bottom left there, what are the advances in technology that are occurring that could transform our delivery times, transform data management, transform product design and development? Or in the bottom center there, what is happening in the world's economy? Are we still taking raw materials, adding value to them, refining them in this case, and adding to the global economy? All of this we have to be aware of as business leaders. And bottom right, of course, there, we have to be aware of what legislation says. In our case in the UK, we need to be aware of the UK Companies Act 2006. It's the biggest piece of legislation British Parliament has ever laid down. It's massive. But you have to be aware of the important bits of it. Just imagine if you tried to lead your business, though not quite aware of what's happening in politics or in climate change or in society or with technological advances or what's happening in global economy or the law, we'd rapidly lead our companies to failure, I suggest. So we spend a lot of time talking about understanding the business environment so we're ready as leaders to deal. Next slide, please, Hannah. We talk about different types of leaders, and you might judge these characters differently to how I might. But of course, we do good case studies on those who we might think are good leaders, like Bill, who's promised 99% of his wealth to go to charities, and his desire to give back to society all that he's earned. Or you might have your own view on Jeff Fairburn in the middle there, former chief executive officer of Persimmon, the building firm, who had a good look at the right to buy scheme, or help to buy scheme, the help to buy scheme, and he thought it meant the help yourself scheme. So he discovered a way that he could give himself that year a £73 million bonus. And this snapshot here, so I think £73 million is a lot of money to have as a bonus. Personally, you might have different views, but I think that's a bit bad. And we talk about these case studies, these real world case studies of what happens, because that's a screenshot of Jeff coming on live telly on the news, ready to launch a new brick plant that he's just opening. He's very proud to unveil this. He's on TV, and the live news broadcaster interviewed him, said, "And what about your £73 million bonus, Jeff?" And that was the end of Jeff's career. So Jeff left Persimmon shortly after that interview, rightly or wrongly, whatever you think about it, but we do these case studies. And of course, you've got Philip Green there on the right, who some say misappropriated pension funds to prop up other businesses. Of course, we go deeply into case studies these, because we can't learn from all our own mistakes. We have to learn from the good, the bad, and the ugly of those that have gone before us. Next slide, please, Hannah. And of course, we must look into the law, and I mentioned the Corporations Act 2006. So this is why we lead, folks. But of course, there are just 7 good rules of what directors must do. And of course, we study those. That's the law. A better practice, the middle picture there, that's the Code of Good Corporate Governance 2018, the UK Code of Corporate Governance, which is better practice, how we should do things as leaders of companies, of servants of the people, serving all the stakeholders. And the right-hand picture there reflects the triple bottom line, not just at the 3 Ps, not just looking after profit, but looking after people, our own people and our customers and our stakeholders, but also the planet. So legal, better practice and better serving the planet, we cover together as good reasons to lead well. The left-hand side is the law, the company's code, the Code of Good Governance is good practice, and CSR, corporate social responsibility, is an ambition at the moment. Next slide, please. Meanwhile, of course, whilst all this is going on and you're trying to run your business, a pandemic arrives, threatens the world's health. Meanwhile, whatever you think of Brexit, it's coming to a town near us, largely with no deal, it may seem, and our iceberg is melting. So we have to deal with all of these crises within a crisis, within a crisis, while successfully leading our business. And that's why leadership is so important. So I'm going to hand back now at this stage. So thank you very much for that quite quick introduction to why leadership. Thank you, David.